Oh, sorry. Oh, no, it's gone. But now I talk about something completely maybe different. So I'm feeling a little bit like, I don't know if you use the saying odd bird in English, but I feel, but at least I try to have it a little bit to standards and things like that. So I will talk overall about technical development we need to do from the road authority side to, and that we can see we need until 2040. And this I will have on the agenda. Sorry, I will not try to not look at that direction. Background, a summary, and also the content related to the area of geodetic surveying. So first a little bit about the background. Sorry. I will see if I can change a little bit here. Oh, exactly, because we did the wrong one. Okay. But now it's okay. It's okay. Yep. So the road system, as Ton just described, is an increasingly complex product, and we need information from a lot of sides. And we could see that we have challenges and also demands from different directions. We have more and larger transports. We have increased capacity requirements in the whole road system. And at the same time, we want to have fast, safe, and more environmentally friendly journeys. The government says that we need to have more road for the money, and I think that is something always. We have new and changed legislation, and usually they are getting tougher and tougher, which means new demands on the roads. And also the thing that we have a greater focus on reconstruction instead of new construction, and it's always more complicated to reconstruct something instead of new construct. But of course you save material and other things which are good. And usually it's a combination of these conditions that leads to the need for a technical development plan. And a lot is already happening, of course, in the Swedish Transport Administration. I will use abbreviation STA further on, but they are not always in sync and not even known to each other because we have a big organization. And maybe I should mention that clear. This is from the road authority side, this technical development plan, but I think it could be also used for the whole area, not just the Trafikverket or the Transport Administration. And the goal and the purpose is to be able to develop these technical innovations required to manage the overall objectives in our transport policy, and also to ensure socio-economically efficient and long-term sustainable transport supply. And maybe most important, constitute the basis for decisions on financing the right technical development projects. And it's both research and innovation, but also for processes and process development. And as I mentioned, the target year for the plan is 2040. If you look at the summary of the plan, and here I will be a little bit repeating myself, if the future road system should function well, it must be able to meet the society's, both business and users, needs for reliable, cost-effective, and environmentally friendly travel and transport. And it must be done with a high level of safety, punctuality, and accessibility. And punctuality is something, earlier it was mostly for rail, but now it's also growing for road, because like coming to terminals for goods, you have a slot times exactly as you have on with a plane or a train. And you need to have a continuous development of existing and new road facilities, because there's a lot of things happening. And the plan shows the needs for this technical development and also what needs to be done in different technical areas to meet these needs. And if we should achieve these goals, we must have it must have an impact on what we are doing in research and innovation and the roadmap we have for each technical area at Trafikverket. And it must, of course, be clearly anchored throughout the SDA, including a budget, because usually that is a problem, especially for implementation, because that is usually quite a lot of cost to implement it from the beginning, but then you can have the gains afterwards. So if we look what we have found out what we need to do if we should reach these goals. So it's expand cross-functional systems with expertise in the STA. We need to have the ability to implement new technology. We have a lot of good research, but it's not always implemented. It stops somewhere in between. And this includes also a new business form and better risk allocation. We have seen that we should take more risk on our side if we wish to have technical development and not on the, like the contractors' side. We also, and here we have what Trond just described, increase the ability for advanced analysis of the information of the road system that connected vehicles and facilities provide. For example, streamline maintenance and improve road safety. And here we already have something called winter maintenance, where we have a system where we collect a lot of data and which we give to the contractor so he knows where he should use sand and salt, for example, a day like this. We also need to have a robustness of the system must be improved, primarily related to climate change consequences. And that is also the main goal from the government have given us that we should do research in that area. We also have this about LCC and LCA. We have had these methods for that for more than 20 years, but we don't use it as much as we should have done. So we need to be better on that. And also, of course, update these methods that we have. We need to work towards a higher degree of circularity and reuse of products and recycling of materials. And also connected to that, we also need to find new materials that we can use. For example, cement is a very big problem because we use a lot of that when we are building bridges or tunnels or geotechnical things, and we need to find a replacement for that. But there is also a lot of other things we need to find solutions for that. We need to cooperate. I think I will mention that a couple of times in this presentation with the industry and all stakeholders if we want to develop the entire road system, both mainly technically, but also organizationally and financially. And this forum for that, it must also be able to prioritize between initiatives because you got a lot of ideas, but you also need to know which one you should take further and implement. And we also need to work, and that has also been mentioned earlier today, internationally. And for us, we have CEDR, it's the organization for the National Road Authorities in Europe. And then we also have two organizations just in the Nordic countries called NVF and NordFOU. And we also, and that is, now it is for really what we are discussing today, we need to actively participate in reviewing regulation and standards so that we develop standards that work well for our condition. And it's just to look outside. I think it's not so common in some of the countries in Southern Europe to discuss snow, but for us it's a really important issue. And we also, and not least, secure the supply of skills in the industry, because we can see that it's less and less people studying this at universities. So we need to cooperate more with universities to have people studying these areas that we are discussing here. Now we talk a little bit more about just the content related to geodetic surveying area, because I think that was mostly related to what this day is about. So first, have different areas what we saw in this plan that we need to be better in, and that is connected to increased digitalization of road construction. The role, and that was also mentioned here, the role of road infrastructure for increasingly automated vehicles. When we take this to the higher levels, it will be more and more interesting to send information back and forth, and they also need to have machine-readable regulations. We need to have traffic control through dynamic traffic routes to be able to use the infrastructure much more efficient, and also use of vehicle-generated data in SDA's operations. We are, as I mentioned, already doing it a little bit, but there is much more to do in the future. And when it's getting more and more automated, it will be easier. And also, I think the OEMs, they need to find new ways to earn money, because electrified and automated vehicles will not have so much things that they can repair and have service on. So they need to sell services instead to earn money. We have facility monitoring of like bridges and tunnels and other things. So control of the traffic also, but also the functional condition. And we also need to to do this, we need to collect data about these facilities and its technical condition. And I think here also we discussed, we mentioned digital twins. I think for the whole road network, it will take a very long time before, we will never have it for the whole road network, but for like in the cities with the tunnels and bridges and vulnerable infrastructure, important infrastructure, we will have it quite soon. And we already have it like for some tunnels. And this is about what we have said, that these different areas, which I mentioned are further down, areas included, we wanted them to describe the technical development in the short term, and that was 1 to 5 years, and a long term 5 to 20 years, and then we are 5 to 15 years, sorry, to 2040, and they should give priority to 3 on each of these 2, and also what the needed skills are for the future. And now we're coming to what is written in the plan for geodetic surveying, and this is really not my area, so I'm not able to answer any questions about it, but at least I've shown what it is, and it is further development of mobile measurement systems to collect good quality data, and also to have it fast and efficient of large, because we think we will have larger and larger data sets. It must work also for really large data sets. And it's also about the quality of them and also information extraction from these large data sets. And also here we need to work together with other technology areas, because it is, as I mentioned, we are a very big organization and we have a problem where we don't know what we are doing in other places in our own organization. And here also we need to include, of course, other stakeholders to identify what future development we need for measurements and sensor systems and a lot of other things. And we also need to have a development and coordination of the assurance of implementation of reference systems. And here it is this, but also Susanne mentioned a little bit in the morning, and we need to have an uninterrupted flow of data from the construction to the maintenance, so management. So, and just now it doesn't work so good, so we need to have a lot of extra work to have the information, the data going through the whole process from start to end for a road. And we look at for the long term, and this about machine learning and AI is of course not something we are not doing now. We are doing that right now also, but we need to development, because there is a lot of opportunities in that in the future. And we also need to have also here cross-technical analysis, condition assessments of the facilities. based on geodata together with other facility and condition data. And this is a little, my last slide is about how to solve future lack of skills. We need to work more with university and college education in the area. We need to have a dialogue with educators about the need for Swedish Transport Administration side and the industries. We need to spread knowledge about the data, for example, around geodata quality to other technical areas. We need to broaden cooperation and applications together with other technical and educational areas. So that was a try to explain what we have in this, how we call technical development plan for Trafikverket, the Swedish Transport Administration. And it's something that will be, every second year we will update it. So it's not just it's something we have and then don't update, because of course you need to update the technical development plan. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Thomas. And I'm sure there's a lot of points in there that are in common with a lot of other organisations. I did like your emphasis on skills. Sometimes that's overlooked, and we've got some talks after lunchtime actually to see how we're doing that in our area of standards, and also your emphasis on getting into machine learning and artificial intelligence. I think that's common with a lot of organisations at the moment. In my own organisation, we are starting to work with AI to help us with geospatial analysis. So yeah, these things are common problems across lots of organisations.
So I could just mention also, I think I mentioned a lot of things we need to do, and of course for almost everything I mentioned, you also need standards for. So I could have mentioned that more often than I did. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Interrupting.
Fine, Thomas. Yeah, no, I think that's true. There's probably a lot of standards content that can come out of that. Does anybody have a question for Thomas? Tom? Yeah.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Probably my question is coming out of left field though, is around not the technology but the law and legislation and litigation that we have in our society, where autonomous cars, and as Tron indicated, the makers don't trust public information as such. When does the car maker cross over in its laws back to the public environment? So, example, if there's an accident by an autonomous car and the car says, I'm right, but the road authority says you're wrong, how do we resolve that as a community?
I think that is a good question, and I think also that is a question why autonomous cars are not so much on the roads, as it said. I must say something. I talked about NVF. We had a meeting in Trondheim, I think it was 2018, and the Norwegian minister said, it's 4 years between these big meetings called Via Nordica. Next time we meet, 2022, we will have a lot of autonomous cars on our roads. I think it was still almost close to zero, even 4 years later. So I think we are going really quick in a lot of different areas, but there is so much questions, and mostly related to exactly what you said now, but means that they are going really slowly, having these autonomous cars on our roads. Volvo had something called Drive Me 2022 or something. They should have introduced a lot of autonomous cars in Gothenburg, but they closed down the whole project because they thought it was too much risk with having it and a risk for negative publicity. So I don't have any answer, but it's a very good question, and we need to work together, I think, to find solutions. And that is, I mentioned risk allocation. You need to find who who can handle the risk in the best way, that also need to have the risk. We can't just push it to someone else.
Okay, thanks, Thomas. There's another question at the back of the room.
Eric Frankson, City of Gothenburg here. I want a little bit about that. Obviously, the road network and the transportation network is an important part of the national geodata and perhaps a national digital twin. I wonder a little about how could we work together in creating the national digital twin regarding transportation, energy grid, land use, and so on, connecting the local digital twin with the national national data. How can we work together with that? Do we have some kind of plan how the road network could be part of it?
No, and I'm not maybe the right person to ask also, because I don't know, maybe there is something ongoing, but not as I know. And I didn't mention, I also work at Lindholmen Science Park, which was mentioned earlier, as something closer. So I've seen a lot of what you showed that, and so I think we really should take part in much more of that from our transport administration side. So please remind me on this, so will I bring it up together with Susanne and take that back to Trafikverket. So good, thanks.
Another question at the back.
Yes, I noticed you had a whole slide about predicted maintenance with IoT. And when we talk about digital twins, that is one of the main components. The IoT is the connection between the real life and the virtual world. So my reflection was, in regards to his question as well, Eric's question, is that it would probably, a lot of the things we are talking about here, hopefully that could be also very valuable for what you're doing. Both standardization done for IoT and how that standardization relates to how we build these digital twins. And I also had a question there. There are more organizations in Sweden now looking into both IoT capabilities and local digital twins capabilities. Are you in contact with other initiatives, or is that something, because that's also a way to participate then in the international standardization within these areas. So do you have any plans, or are you engaged in, or otherwise, how do you plan to engage? Thank you.
I must say also, this plan, I am the project leader for that, but I have a lot of people helping me with different areas. For example, digital twins. I didn't mention, but there is also a section about digital twins and in the plan, even if it is short. So I don't know it myself, but I guess the persons who are working with this also cooperate with other, but I don't know is my short answer. But as I said earlier, I will try together with Susanne to bring it back, to take it back to SDA. So good that you remind us.
Okay, if there's no more questions, are there any questions online? We've only got a couple of minutes for a question. Hearing none. Okay, thanks very much, Thomas. Thank you.